The Seven-Universe Judgement Lore is filled with profound mysteries. More compelling is the story of Jafda, the earliest recorded guide of mankind. His mission was monumental to lead emerging human spirits towards their divine purpose, ensuring their spiritual awakening within material creation. But not all clothes embodying spirit germs embrace this upward path. Some, either through inertia or love for ease, fell behind. These beings, known as Apemen, became a tragic divergence in the evolution of humanity. The tale of the Apemen is not merely an ancient legend. It is a parable of indulgence, stagnation, divine justice, and unseen forces shaping human destiny. Some interpretations from a transmitted text rooted in the Book of Seven Seals suggest that the Apemen were souls who resisted their own transformation, lingering in the shadows of creation. Others draw parallel with scientific narratives, speculating that they were early hominins, beings that had not yet fully crossed the threshold into modern human consciousness. At the heart of this mystery is Ober, a divine anomaly whose presence altered the flow of spiritual evolution. His descent into creation intensified the material world's conditions, accelerating humanity's development while also introducing a principle that led to chaos. Jafda, guided by a divine mandate, encountered the Apemen in a fateful moment that would test his resolve and redefine the boundaries between mercy and judgment. The following account delves into the chapter of the Seven-Universe Judgement Lore, weaving together cosmic lore, ancient wisdom, and the echoes of a lost race. I'm Strone, and because, like some others, I believe the outborn one walks among mankind yet again, unveiled. Some call me the stranger's servant. Now, throughout the Seven-Universe Judgement Lore, Jafda is regarded as the earliest guide in memory, yet none of these investigators can fully hand down the story about Ober, the enigmatic and defiant figure. According to the Book of Seven Seals, this limitation exists because a spirit germ such as an earthman, even at the highest state, cannot directly inquire into the divine realm. Ober, being of divine substantiality, exists on a plane that even the greatest intercessors struggle to penetrate. The Book of Seven Seals, a collection of divine messages, in explaining this mystery attempts to illuminate the nature of Ober. However, in his desire to know better, man has added views that have led to disparities among seekers and spiritual teachers. Some argue that Ober, being a divine being, could not have left his lofty position unoccupied, for doing so would have created a vacuum in the celestial structure. They claim that this was the first assertion of will, an anomaly in divinity that foreshadowed the wound he would inflict upon humanity for millennia to come. Others insist that divinity lacks free will, as it is compelled by the overwhelming radiance of divine light. of the substantiate divine light, as some call it. To them, the Book of Seven Seals, sealed to the imperceptive, clarifies that divine will is not an independent choice, but a function of its very nature. At this early point in history, the Unborn One was not yet the judge of mankind. He had begun his mission as the parabolic sower, casting spirit grains into the soil of material creation. The time for harvest would arrive later, when each grain, according to its inherent abilities, would give its account. The sower himself did not foresee that an enemy, Ober, would introduce the wrong will into the world of matter. The enemy was yet to sow weed. The enemy was yet to sow weed. For mortals, seeing the Unborn One in his full majesty wasn't possible. For a higher being like Jafda, the mere vision of him led to momentary unconsciousness. The few who saw glimpses of divine pictures handed down could only pass this impression through symbols and stories. Ober, though lacking the God core of the Unborn One, is still of divine substantiality, something homogeneous with the Unborn One's body, which covers his divine core. Ober, though lacking the God core of the Unborn One, is still of divine substantiality, something homogeneous with the Unborn One's divine body, which only covered his God core. This is why the Unborn One alone could defeat Ober in the final reckoning. Yet, Jafda remains known to mankind, even though he was a higher being. Some claim to have heard his voice through channels, stating that he wrote the gospel and often spoke of the beginning and the world's formation. His past lives carried subconscious imprints that reflected in his teachings long before our time. Long before Ober's fall, Jafda walked the earth alongside his co-worker and wife, Holder. Many great giants preceded Jafda, but he led them, shifting and piling stones, forging paths for even seas and rivers. The leader of the giants in the land now called Africa, where man started first in his thriving. This giant was Olam. Jafda too, on the same land, became a slayer, not merely of beasts that had reached their evolutionary peak and were divinely mandated to go extinct, but of something far more disturbing, the Apemen. The question of the Apemen's true nature has long been debated both in sacred texts and scientific circles. Religious traditions suggest that there were a divergence in spiritual evolution, being those who resisted the upward pull of divine guidance and thus lost their chance at full humanity. These were souls that, despite being given opportunities, failed to awaken to their higher purpose. Their inability to cultivate spiritual maturation left them stranded within the earliest state of their animal covering. In contrast, scientific perspectives present a different view. Anthropologists speak of early hominins, creatures that walked upright but had not yet developed the cognitive and spiritual awareness that define modern humans. Some evolutionary biologists argue that species like Homo erectus and Neanderthals were part of a continuum, with some groups advancing while others faded into extinction. Could these lost species be what the Seven-Universe Lore refers to as the Apemen? Some theologians and esoteric scholars suggest a reconciliation between these views, proposing that the Apemen were early human prototypes, beings who possessed a latent divine spark but lacked the full means to manifest it. The failure of these beings to fully awaken spiritually may have been what led to their ultimate demise, as depicted in a text rooted in the Book of Seven Seals. The birth of the spirit germs into the world was through the ape mother. But that does not mean, as some erroneously claim, that man descended from the ape. According to the Book of Seven Seals, such an assertion would be going too far. Instead, the book explains that the spirit germs incarnated in the womb of the most developed species at the time, the ape. With the presence of the spirit germ in this animal cloak, refinement and development into what is now modern man was only a matter of time. Among the children born of the ape mothers, Jafda recognized as they matured which among them was spiritual. This he determined by their ability to stand erect. He separated the two groups, instructing some to migrate further north to prevent congestion. Some believe that even among those who failed to stand upright, there were individuals who carried the germ of human spirituality. These spirits, on descending into creation, encountered vibrational forces from the upheavals of growth and decay. Many chose sloth and inertia over activity, stagnating their spiritual progress. Some say these became the very beings that Jafda was later compelled to eliminate, a divinely sanctioned genocide that weighed heavily upon his heart. Highly intuitive, Jafda taught the people to make proper use of their intellect. One day he learned of a community beyond his reach, a people who had regressed. Curious, he ventured forth under the cover of night. What he found shook him to the core. Their four had grown wild, their eyes vacant, and they had lost even the wit to make fire. One of the essentials, a being named Bahu, had told Jafda that the force of Ober's descent had expedited the evolution of humanity. This pressure, Bahu explained, lowered man's larynx, facilitating speech. But these creatures had not kept pace, though they uttered sounds. Their language was the most unintelligible thing Jafda had ever encountered from a standing near human entity. In a nearby cave, Jafda ignited a fire and threw into the shadows. The Apemen, sensing the warmth from atop the hill, descended in frenzy, some tumbling, others grappling before they even reached the flames. Their reaction was primitive, an eerie celebration as they hopped wildly around the fire. Jafda, watching, was disgusted but knew he bore responsibility for not discovering them earlier. With his spiritual eyes now, he peered into them and confirmed his darkest fear. Their divine sparks were fading, their spirits locked in the crude bodies of those who had refused to evolve, were unable to express themselves, and were dying. Their time had run out. Jafda, with a heavy heart, rolled a stone across the cave's exit. The wailing began almost immediately. Soon the embers of lost souls flickered and rose, ascending beyond mortal sight. The dying sparks, the last vestiges of divine substance's own spark, drifted upward, back to the third heaven, the place of the origin of all spirit journeys. The Apeman's fate stands as a solemn warning, one of spiritual stagnation and divine consequences, while they might have become or remain forever unknown.
The tale of the Apemen, as recorded in one of the books of Ephesus, serves as a testament to the delicate balance between spiritual awakening and stagnation. Jafda's role as guide and guardian of early mankind highlights the divine principle that every spirit germ must strive upward or risks fading into oblivion. The Apeman's faith was not merely an act of destruction, but a necessary reckoning, an outcome dictated by spiritual law rather than human sentiment. Those who failed to develop their divine spark within them could not persist in creation. Their essence had to return to its origin, where it would await another opportunity. Jafda's sorrow at their demise underscores the gravity of choice in the grand design. While some spirits embraced evolution, others clung to inertia, choosing a path that led not to transformation but to extinction. It is a lesson that reverberates beyond the ancient past, reminding us that stagnation is not merely a pause in progress. It is a lesson that reverberates beyond the ancient past, reminding us that stagnation is not merely a pause in progress, but a step toward disintegration, the thing that can happen, the worst that can ever happen to the human spirit. The story of Jafda and the Apemen is more than a chapter in the Seven-Universe Judgement Lore. It is a reflection on the choices every soul must face. To rise or to fall, to seek the light or to linger in the shadow. In the end, only those who choose ascension can stand in the presence of the divine light. Subscribe to this channel, leave a comment. I also have a view of my dashboard for fiction and poetry. Donate through my Stellar account if you